Anthony, welcome back again. It's good to have you as always.
Hey, Jason, good to see you again, too.
So today we're going to go back over creating a life sheet in PQ because we had some audio production issues back in episode 2 that we're trying to remedy here so that it's more enjoyable to watch and kind of shrink down the content a little bit so that it's not an hour long, so people can consume it easier.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
All right. So let's bring in PQ. So here I am as a user in PQ looking at the life sheet intake page. You want to just briefly explain what the life sheet is and what steps we're going to take now to set this life sheet up?
Yeah, you got it. So the life sheet is basically a snapshot of you in time, and it prompts you to answer a handful of questions across a couple of different areas in your life. Um, you'll think about your goals. What do you want to be doing? Are you happy, or where could you improve? How's your money situation? Are you feeling healthy? And then basically just the focus and accountability tabs are about what do you want to work on, and do you need help with any of those things from the people in your circle.
Got it. So we get into it here. So we're picking today as an evaluation date. So go on to the next page. So these are goals. Talk to me briefly about what each one of these buckets means, and we'll fill some values in.
Yeah. I'm going to start. I'm going to skip the first one just for a second. We'll come back to that. But bucket list items, people resonate with that pretty quickly, I think. So here are the like long term future goals. You can really dream big here. Um, I put five, but you can put as many as you want. And then let me go to the other two, which are also a little bit easier to describe. Top five highs year to date are just some cool things that you want to remember about what you've accomplished in the last year, and then what are some things you're looking forward to in the upcoming year. Again, five is just a suggestion. You can put as many as you want. And then themes for the year are, for me, I put like just kind of high level objectives that aren't tied to any specific activity. So, for example, like on my life sheet, I have invest in my brand. And that's a theme, but it's not, there's never no like, you're not going to check that off and say, I did this thing. But it might help influence when you get down to the focus tab, what, based on the themes for the year, how do you think some of these areas you'll focus on will help support that theme?
Got it. So let's go and we'll fill some of these in. We'll start with a theme. The theme for this year, for me, definitely brainwave exchange. I'm not going to go and put many in. We're just going to go through a couple of these just to show inputting these values. Brainwave exchange is a theme. Bucket list items. Top five, we'll put in a couple, right? Visit space.
No. That one's also on mine.
Nice. I need it to be a lot more consumer friendly, not just in the pricing, but also in the safety before I consider it.
Yep. Yep. And it's worth noting, like, if you can technically fill this out on your phone if you wanted to, and it supports emojis. So if you have like you want to add some flair to your entries, you totally can.
Oh, that's awesome. Flair definitely helps make it pop. I don't think I can do that from my keyboard, but top five highs. Visited France to see my parents again. That's always good. Launch the podcast. Top five upcoming highs. We have the gut check triathlon coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll be fun.
Yep, looking forward to that one.
It'll be brutal, but it'll be fun. And then a New Year's trip back to France. Okay.
And I'd recommend you hit save here. So for the people watching, I didn't say this yet, but all of these things are optional. You can fill out as much or as little as you want. But I do encourage you to smash that save button early and often.
Smash the save.
Because I don't do a ton with keeping stuff in the browser automatically. These are all usability improvements I plan to make as I continue to tinker with the PQ.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's our goals. We'll move on now to fulfillment. So talk to me a bit about what this is.
So this is inspired by some Tony Robbins content about things people need to feel like they're living a life worth living. Now, I took some creative liberties here. The 6 human needs as they're written in that program, where if you want to scroll, is like certainty, like you know what's happening next. But then conversely, people need variety in their day, or else you feel like you're living Groundhog's Day. Keep on going if you would. Significance, right? Like, is the work I'm doing or my contribution to the world, does it make me feel like I have some sort of significance to others? Keep on going. Connections and love. So these are the qualities of your relationships. And then growth, like am I able to do more than I used to be able to do? Can I show progress? That's part of feeling fulfilled. And then contribution is like you giving back to others. And so the creative twist that I took on this are, I don't believe that everybody attaches the same level of importance to each of those human needs. So some people really, really like a predictable life. And I'm probably further on the spectrum of like, I like a lot more variety in my day. Or some people might think like, contribution, maybe that's not me. Or maybe, the point is here, this will help you evaluate what's important to you. That's what the importance column is for. And then over to the right where we have the rating, then you can say like, how do you think you're doing in that area for each of these different categories? And then underneath it, you can just like, why do you think that? That's the notes. So I don't know if you want to fill out some of this.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that certainty is very important. How do I feel I'm currently doing on certainty? I'm going to say a 3. I come to that above rating because I am unemployed and looking for a stable job.
Right. That's great. Like it's a good self-evaluation. And what like this should set you up to do. These are all building on top of each other, all of these prompts, because when you start going into focus, you'll see overlap between what you see in the fulfillment and the areas in which you want to focus later. And if you might find that you're not doing as well as you wish you were in a particular area, you might spend more time focusing on that for the upcoming year.
Got it. We'll fly through some of these. Uncertainty. I guess. So clarify this for me. So I am saying here, so certainty matters a lot to me. I don't want a lot of uncertainty. So that means that I would put this as not important to me because I don't want it.
Correct.
I am also doing poorly in this category because I have a lot of uncertainty. Significance. It's very important. We're just going to throw some numbers. I don't want to be too bogged down in these. So we're going to put that in there. Connection is somewhat important. We're going to say it's doing okay. Growth is very important. We're doing all right with growth. Contribution is very important. Not doing as well as I would want. Okay. So we fill out all these things, and you can always come back and fill out the notes later if you need to.
100%.
We're going to hit that save button.
That's the right answer.
And we are going to move on. All right. The big one. the finances. So talk to us a bit about what we're tracking here, and then we'll go through each of these inputs individually.
So I've been thinking about this one a lot, and I think what you want to get out of this tab will vary based on where you are in your life. I suspect the majority of the people who will use PQ, at least initially, are optimizing for financial freedom, right? So do I have to be in the rat race forever? Yes or no? Well, in order to know that, you need to be able to fill out the stuff on the left, and it'll do some math for you and basically let you see where you're at. Now, I want to call out here that I don't want to connect to anybody's bank accounts. I just don't want any of that. So this is definitely a you get in what you put into it sort of thing, and it's using the honor system. So you could give yourself a $12 billion net worth if you want, but that's kind of a useless thing to do.
Right. That's not going to help you at all.
So a couple of things I'll say here are, one, if you mouse over the title, it's kind of hard to see on the screen share, but I tried to put little descriptions for what each thing meant. There you go. So it tells you a little bit of a description of what it is you're looking for. And then what you'll do is you'll come in and you'll fill out these values.
Okay. So net worth, like this says, the total value of all of your non-financial and financial assets. So this is the cash you have on hand, your investment accounts, the equity you have in your home, the value of your cars, like anything that you have.
Yep.
Anything that you have that has either liquid or illiquid value to it. So we're just going to say here, I'm going to make numbers up. That's 250,000.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to stick that in there. Then on to passive income. So passive income is money that you make without having to exchange your own time for it, basically, right?
That's exactly right. So, it's interesting, like long-term rental income is considered passive. I'm pretty sure short-term rental income isn't as passive, but I suppose if you have a business that's doing that all for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, dividends is another thing that's passive income. Royalties from book sales is a thing that's passive income. Like you said, I'm just repeating what you said. You don't have to exchange time for money.
So we're going to say 2,000, and this is per year is what we're putting in here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Then on to active income. Active income is all of the things that you do exchange time to get money out of. So a normal job or anything that you have to actually work for.
Right. Yeah. If you stop doing whatever it is you're doing and the money stops, that's active income.
Right. So we're going to say this is 200,000 because we're in a high paying industry. Okay. So now we see total gross income, which is calculated for you, which is the sum of your passive plus active income.
That's right.
And then on to your percentage of your net worth that is passive.
Yep.
So how much of my total net worth is generated without me having to do anything?
That's right. Yep.
And the higher this number is, the closer you are to being financially free.
I don't know that that's strictly true. I mean, maybe yes, but financial freedom is calculated based on expenses and taxes too. But basically what it's saying is, of your net worth, how much is replenished automatically by you doing nothing.
Gotcha. All right. And expenses. So that's pretty self-explanatory. This is everything you spend money on.
Right. So for me, like, I'll just go look at my credit card statement and see how much I spent from the last time I did my evaluation to now. That's usually the way I get that.
throw a
a
number
lot
in
of these
there.
financial tools that people use will just tell you what that number is, you know. So if you're like a Mint user or something, it will just give you what your expenses are. You take that, you plug it in here.
Yep. Total of taxes. Let's estimate this.
Right. This is income tax. This is like property tax. This is in Massachusetts, you've got your excise tax, right? Like
Yep.
you add all that stuff up.
Yep.
I skip sales tax. That's lumped into expenses.
Yep. That all makes sense. Then we calculate here your total taxes and expenses, which then, I don't know if people noticed, but we got this financial freedom percentage that filled in. So this now is saying how much of your total taxes and expenses is covered by your passive income.
That's right.
And
And
you,
then once in the perfect world, once that number hits 100, like you don't have to work anymore to live, though that's probably not quite right because you want to go do fun things, and then like that might
right.
inflate that number a little bit for you. But
Right.
100 is a sweet spot to be.
Okay. This column, left to invest. So this is taking your total gross income, subtracting the things that you've spent money on and your taxes, and this is what you have left to invest in stocks or rental properties or anything that you can use to
Or building
generate
your own
passive income.
business. Yep. Yep. You can invest that in either others or yourself.
And we will put an actual invest, say 50,000. Hours volunteered. So this is how many hours you spent helping other people.
Yeah, like community service projects or things like that.
Yep.
We'll use that. We'll use that number in a moment. So right now it's just a number, but you'll see it starts to influence your give to income ratio on the other side. And then genuine contribution is just cash you've donated.
So we'll say that I donated 2,000.
Right.
So now when we look at this give to income ratio, talk to me a bit about it.
Right. So what this is saying is you take your total gross income, right? You made $202,000 this year, and of that you gave back 2,000. There's different philosophies on what percentage that number should be, and I'm not going to give you a number one way or the other, but the point is you should know what that is, and you can choose whether or not you want to do something about it.
Right.
And so if you went back to that fulfillment tab and you saw that your contribution was important and felt low, well, this might show you why.
And the thing that this also includes, as we can see in the tooltip there, is that your hours volunteered multiplied by your calculated hourly rate is considered part of your giving because you are giving up your time, which is worth something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's calculated in here as well.
Right. And then the other cool thing about the hourly rate is people tend to undervalue themselves. And this gives you an actual number. And so now when somebody says, hey, will you do this job for me? You can say, well, is it worth it? Or is this a charitable contribution? Like you have a more informed opinion about whether you should do something or not.
Absolutely. All right. We will hit the save.
Yep. And before we move on, we can talk about the compare feature.
Yes. So one of the really cool things that we can do here in PQ is you can track your progress for these things. So once you have filled out more than one of these life sheets, you can go back and you can see how much progress you've made. So
that's right.
Just so happen to have an old one.
So that old one is from the video we did in episode 2, which
Yes.
also had random data in it.
Yep. So
Um,
as you can see, not doing so well compared to the last time we filled this out. But that's important to know too, right? You want to know if you're going backwards.
right. And I actually this real world example was I looked at my old life sheet from 2021, December of 2021, and I compared it to December of 2022, and I saw that my give to income ratio had dropped by like 85% or something like that. And that actually caused me to seek out opportunities to do community service. And what I've been doing now is I have a future life sheet, and in there I'm keeping track of all the hours I spend helping do various projects around my town. And it was entirely influenced by the numbers I saw in this tool.
It's good stuff. Move on now. All right, health metrics. So quickly through each one of these. Some of these are like pretty self-explanatory. You've got your
Yep.
weight.
Yep. So I didn't go as far in the comparison with, sheet over sheet on this one. So right now it's like you just fill these numbers out. These were considered some. I mean, I might even go so far as to say that these are a bit of vanity metrics. But I'm actually trying to meet with coaches and health coaches specifically to figure out what are some really good indicators of total health here. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, I'd love to talk to you. But for now, right, let's just track some basic stuff like what's my weight, my body fat, my blood pressure, my heart rate. A lot of people's smart watches will tell them what their resting heart rate is.
Yep.
The GB9 is just a baseline like fitness test. I pulled that right from GoBundance, and it is 9 minutes, but it is 5 movements with 4 minutes in between as rest. And so you sum the total of all the reps you did across all 5 movements, you put the number in there. And then in theory, if you do this again next quarter, your baseline for how much you could do, you compare it to what you can do now, and in theory, you'd be able to do more.
Cool. And there's a video link here that'll take you to seeing the explanation for that and how to do it.
Yep.
Total cholesterol. Yeah, you can get this from blood work that you should be getting every year from your annual physical if you're seeing your doctor. Highly recommend you see your doctor once a year just to keep track of these types of things.
Yep, that's right.
I don't remember what mine is. We'll just throw that in there.
And then the lifespan one is interesting to me. That comes from another website. If you're not familiar with the blue zones, those are areas with high concentrations of people over 100 years old. And they did some interviews with those people to see what sort of like lifestyle behaviors they have that lead to their longevity. And so through that Blue Zones website, it'll prompt you for a bunch of different health related questions, and it'll let you know what it'll approximate your biological age. I think this is a good start. I'm actually trying to investigate a little bit more. Are there biomarkers that can be measured and then use science to come up with your biological age? I think of all the tabs in the life sheet, this one needs the most work, but I think it's a good place to start for now anyway.
So this number, I'm putting in my current biological age or how long it thinks I will live.
It's how long you think you will. The app will spit out how long it estimates you will live based on your habits.
Okay. So we're just going to throw a number in here, 89. Smash that save button.
Yep.
And on to the next. Focus areas. There's a lot of things on here, so talk me through the general idea.
So I hit some high notes on what people might want to focus on. All of these areas, like you can put one more or zero. You can put 0 or more things that you want to try and work on during the upcoming evaluation cycle. So some people might do a life sheet once a year. Some people might do it once a quarter. It's entirely up to you. And so in the next, let's just use a hypothetical and say in the next quarter, you want to have done, I don't know, you want to focus on health because we have the triathlon coming up.
Yep. So do the triathlon. Well, I don't make it a bit more specific than that.
In the episode 2 video, we talked about how we should write these such that they are actionable goals, right?
Right.
So we talked about using SMART goals, which are specific. I'm not going to remember all the letters. Specific, measurable, I don't know.
Actionable, time bound. Oh, sorry. There's the R in there. Realistic. Yeah. Depending on who you ask, the R can also mean something else. But I've also heard it righteous. So something that like fits in with your personal values.
Okay.
Is also something. But
yeah, and the point here is you want to come back occasionally between evaluations and look at this and see whether or not you are on track or not. When I've come back to this, I would see I had declared to myself in my past self would declare I want to do, something. And then my future self would look at this and I would say, or present self, I guess, would say, do I still want to do that? Oh, I really do. And then, or maybe I don't, or maybe I can't. It depends on the circumstances. And then you can either tweak the goals or rewrite them just a little bit, or you could just cross it off and say, this isn't for me.
And I think it's important to call out here too that you don't have to fill out focuses for all of these things if you don't have the desire to. There's a lot of different areas here, and if you were trying to focus on all of these things, you'd get spread pretty thin and you might not make progress on things. So if you want to fill them all out, you certainly can. But as you'd probably want to keep them limited to the ones that you think are most important to you, that you can check off so you can make progress, so you don't get sort of overwhelmed.
Right. And let's tie this back to themes for the year.
Right.
So you look back at your themes and you say, I want to grow my business. Well, then you should fill out this business section. Or if you say, I want to get healthy, then you put it into the health and nutrition section. And it's all optional. It's up to you.
I know I didn't make these as specific, but just throwing some things in there so we have them. Smash that save button. And on to accountability. So what are we looking at here?
So the thing we haven't talked about at least in this recording, might have been the first attempt, is the life sheet. After you fill this out, you are to increase your chances of having all this stuff happen for you, you need to share this sheet with somebody else. And it's going to be personal. It's going to be uncomfortable. A lot of people don't talk about money. A lot of people don't talk about health with each other. A lot of people don't talk about the quality of their relationships. Maybe they do, but it's all very personal. And so the whole point of what we're doing here is we want you to be able to do the things that you say you want to do for yourself. And in order to have the best chances, you should tell your circle, however big that circle is. And what are you telling them? Well, you can go through the numbers, but you should be comfortable saying like, hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me with X, Y, or Z? Or like, I really struggle with, keeping on track or whatever. And so you use these two prompts here to say, and again, they're both optional, but you say, what do you need help with, if anything? And maybe you don't need help, but you do want somebody to just check in on you periodically. So that's the accountability. Like, for me, my two accountability things were I want to make sure I keep up with my Duolingo. So every time I hit 100 days, I post that to my Slack group. And then the other one was I'm working on a half Ironman, so I needed to be able to like just keep up my training, right? So check in with me periodically on how's that going too. So they're a little bit different. One is like, hey, help me fix this problem or help provide some insight that I don't have. And then the other one is like, hey, keep me honest with myself.
Yep. Okay, so there we go.
You hit save.
I will hit save. And now we're done. I can't click next.
Yeah.
So we are finished filling out the life sheet.
Yeah. And you can go back to any previous pages and edit things and just hit save and it'll update it for you. Unfortunately, the component doesn't let you click those little things on the top, which I try and do all the time. So you got to hit the back button, but you can bounce around using the navigation on the bottom.
Back through all of these things.
And then I don't know if it's on your screen or not, but there's a drop down at the top of the page. I can't see it from my view of the world. Yeah, there we go. And then that will show you your previous life sheets over time. So you can see what you used to think compared to what you now think.
Right. And you can switch through these on any of these pages.
Yeah. Yep. So that's that.
That's the life sheet.
And I guess the call to action for the folks using this is if any subsection of this seems useful. I mean, I know there's a lot here. That's some consistent feedback I've gotten from the users. It's like you come to this blank canvas and it's where to start. Well, you start wherever any of those things like perked your ears up. You're like, oh, I care about my goals. Well, we'll start there and hit save and then take a break, come back later. It's about incremental progress. You don't have to fill the whole thing out in one go.
Right. Very cool. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to walk through this with us, as always. And I hope that people get some value out of this and start making progress towards their peak selves.
Yeah, thanks. And if you have any questions, shoot them my way. You can find me on either LinkedIn or a lot of people have my number, or we've got a Slack channel. I'm considering opening up the Slack channel so that when people are asking for help with things, like everybody who's in the PQ environment can chime in and try and help people out. So more to come there.
Sounds good. Any parting thoughts?
My parting thoughts are, I've seen this work really well for me. Like really well for me. I did some really challenging things that I wasn't confident I'd be able to do this year. So speaking anecdotally, of course, it works. And if there's anything I can do to help you all out, just ask.
There we have it, folks. That is the PQ life sheet. Reach out to Anthony with any questions, and we wish you all the best in your journey. Anthony, thank you again.
Thanks, Jason. Talk soon.